Have you ever felt like you're sitting in the passenger seat of your own life? You wake up, the alarm goes off, and immediately a wave of stress hits you. You didn't choose that stress, it just showed up. You go to work, someone makes a passive-aggressive comment, and your temper flares. You didn't plan on getting angry, it just happened. We like to think we are the captains of our ships, but most of the time, we are just reacting to the weather. True self-improvement doesn't start with changing your habits, your diet, or your wake-up time. It starts with a concept called self-mastery. Self-mastery is the bridge between impulse and action. It's the gap where you stop letting outside circumstances dictate your inside world. Today, we're going to break down how self-mastery actually works, moving past the fluffy, hustle culture, advice, and looking at the mechanics of how to reprogram your mind. To master something, you have to understand how it works. Your mind is split into two distinct forces, the conscious and the unconscious. Think of your conscious mind as the captain of a massive cruise ship. The captain stands on the bridge, looks at the maps, and gives the orders. But the captain doesn't actually turn the propellers or stoke the engines. That's the job of the crew deep in the hull, your unconscious mind. Here is the trap most of us fall into. We try to use sheer willpower, conscious force, to change our lives. We say, I am going to force myself to study for 3 hours, or, I am going to force myself not to be anxious. But what happens when the captain yells an order that the crew doesn't believe? If your unconscious mind holds a deep-seated belief that you are lazy, or that you aren't smart enough, it will quietly sabotage the captain's orders every single time. The law of revolved effort, when the conscious will and the unconscious imagination are in conflict, the imagination always wins. If you want real self-improvement, you have to stop fighting your own mind and start training it. So, how do we train the crew? We do it through autosuggestion, a concept popularized by the pioneer of self-mastery, Émile Coué. Autosuggestion is simply the act of planting an idea in your own unconscious mind. We are actually doing this all day long, but usually, we do it terribly. Every time you say, I'm so tired, I always screw things up, or, today is going to be a disaster, you are giving a direct order to your unconscious crew. And your crew says, Captain, and goes to work making you feel tired, clumsy, and miserable. To flip this script, you have to feed the mind deliberate, constructive thoughts, but you have to do it when the conscious mind has its guard down. This happens twice a day, right before you fall asleep, and right as you wake up. In these alpha and theta brainwave states, the barrier between your conscious and unconscious mind is thin. Instead of scrolling through your phone first thing in the morning, fueling your mind with comparison and news, try planting a single, simple intention. Coué famously used the mantra, day by day, in every way, I am getting better and better. It sounds incredibly simple, maybe even cheesy, but the phrasing is deliberate. It doesn't claim you are perfect right now, which your mind would reject as a lie. Instead, it focuses on continuous, incremental growth. Once you start reprogramming your baseline thoughts, the next step of self-mastery is testing it in the real world. This is where emotional regulation comes in. Human beings are naturally wired for survival, which means we are wired to react. If a saber-toothed tiger jumps out, you don't think, you run. But in the modern world, a stressful email from your boss triggers the exact same biological response. Self-mastery is the ability to create a gap between the stimulus, the email, and your response. Viktor Frankl, a man who truly mastered his internal state under the worst conditions imaginable, wrote, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. The next time you feel a surge of anxiety, anger, or temptation, your only job is to catch it. Don't judge it, don't try to suppress it. Just label it. Say to yourself, I am noticing that I am feeling angry right now." That simple shift, moving from being the anger to observing the anger, takes the power away from the impulse and puts the steering wheel back in your hands. Self-mastery is not a destination. You don't wake up one day completely enlightened, never experiencing a negative thought again. It is a daily, compounding practice. It's about what you choose to focus on when things go wrong. It's about the language you use when you talk to yourself in the mirror. It's about taking total, radical responsibility for your reactions. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control your boss. You cannot control the traffic, the weather, or the moods of the people around you. But you have absolute jurisdiction over the internal kingdom of your mind. Stop trying to conquer the world out there until you have conquered the world within. Feed your mind growth, create space before you react, and trust the process. Day by day, in every way, you will get better. Thanks for listening. Take a breath, step into that gap today, and master your mind.